interpreters. When we last left our superheroes, that was last Tuesday, the committee will recall that a motion was passed to invite, well, first of all, Stephen Anderson Stefan Anderson was invited, as well as Kirsten Poon. There was also within the motion the request for records, text messages, emails, etc., iMessages, instant messages for Stefan Anderson and Randy Boissonnault. So I just want to update the committee where we're at. I can tell you that immediately following that meeting, there were invitations that were sent to Ms. Poon and Mr. Anderson. There was a lot of back and forth that went on between the clerk and the two invitees. And unfortunately, they declined the committee request. I tried to get them here today. We tried to get them here this morning. Subsequent to that, I asked the clerk to make available additional time on Wednesday evening. And then, of course, Thursday morning, we have another meeting scheduled of the committee, at which point we heard back from Ms. Poon, and that correspondence was sent to the committee members this morning, that she is available the week of July 15th. To this point, on the subsequent invitation, we haven't heard back from Mr. Anderson, but the message that we heard from Mr. Anderson last week was that he felt it was short notice and that he was out of the country and that he would be available at some point in July. I'm not certain when that point might be, but it was at some point in July. So that's the status of where the invitations for the witnesses are right now. As I mentioned earlier, the committee did receive correspondence this morning. It was distributed after it was translated that Ms. Poon is available the week of July 15th. Still no indication about Mr. Anderson at this point, other than he is available in July. With respect to the phone records, the committee will recall that the motion did state within 7 days of the motion being adopted. This is the 7th day. And it certainly wasn't to the hour. So my expectation is that we are going to get phone records, which was requested by the committee, text messages, iMessages, instant messages, call logs, etc., by some point today. Now, this morning, the clerk has been in touch with representatives from the minister, and he expects that that will be available to the committee by later today. But we still have not heard anything from Mr. Anderson except for last week that he indicated that it should not be a problem for him to meet the request of the committee based on the motion that was passed. So, Madam Clerk, if I'm missing anything, I think that pretty much gets us up to date on where we are. So I certainly need some direction from committee where you want to go, given the information that we received this morning and the additional information that I've just given you. There were a lot, as I said, back and forth over the last week to try to accommodate the witnesses to appear today. So, Mr. Barrett, I saw your hand up first. Go ahead, please.
Chair, I'd like to move that pursuant to Standing Order 108-1A, the committee summons the following witnesses to appear before the committee for no less than 1 hour together on the week of July 15, 2024. Kirsten Poon of Navis Group, and Stefan Anderson of Global Health Imports.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Barrett. The motion is in order. I've got Mr. Green on the motion. Did you want to say anything, or you just went?
Just very quickly,
go ahead.
Chair. Both witnesses in your explanation this morning, we've learned that Mr. Anderson was not available until July, and Ms. Poon is available that week in July, and to be consistent with the initial motion that was passed by the committee not to relitigate the length of time, I think that both witnesses should appear for an hour independently of one another, an hour for Ms. Poon, an hour for Mr. Anderson. That was not the will of the committee at the previous meeting, so I'm not looking to relitigate that. But if the committee is, this is going to be our last substantive opportunity to plan to get some answers on this question, and having Ms. Poon and Mr. Anderson both have an obligation to appear that week, knowing that they both have July availability, when members' availability is going to be limited during the month of July, or not previously planned time in Ottawa. This is incredibly important to get answers that have been dogging this committee for weeks now. We need to find out who the other Randy is, what Minister Randy Boissonnault's involvement was with global health imports while he was serving as a minister, and of course what his ongoing interests are with Navis Group, a lobbying firm that lobbied his government that he was receiving payments from while serving in cabinet. This is an opportunity to do that.
Okay, so I've started a list. I've got Mr. Green next.
Thank you.
Mr. Fisher, and then Ms. Damoff. Go ahead, Mr. Green, on the motion that Mr. Barrett just moved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And certainly, members around the table are very well aware of my feelings about arbitrary meetings in non-sitting times. I would caveat it by saying that this isn't arbitrary, given the fact that Ms. Poon herself volunteered to be here on the 16th. Notwithstanding the fact that we have to respect that, I would ask, Mr. Chair, and I do seek that you're getting some direction from the clerk, but I'm unclear in the escalation of inviting witnesses that a summons is particularly necessary. I know that it fits a certain dramatic theme in communications, but I think that given that they have not put in writing, or we have not received in writing a refusal, that they're volunteering to come here, I think the language of a summons, although may suit certain communication styles, isn't necessary. And so I'm wondering through you, Mr. Chair, to the mover of the motion, what the intention is of using the language of a summons. I'll say, on the record, I believe that we have the power to summons anybody. But I do think it's a professional courtesy in working with witnesses to find an available time and escalate in a manner that is consistent with their agreement to participate. This witness has not refused to come to committee. So I'm just wondering if the mover of the motion would be open to and considering, just removing the term summons and continue with the language invite until such time as the witness decides that they're going to send us in writing a refusal.
Go ahead on the point of order, and I believe Mr. Green asked a question through the chair, and I do know that the clerk has some information that she would want to share with the committee. Go ahead on a point of order.
On a point of order, the motion that I moved is different than the motion that I provided in writing to the clerk that was circulated to members of the committee.
Okay.
In the motion that I've moved,
yep. I
said, following the word together, the week of July 15th. Did I say 15th or 14th? Let me just check here. The week of July 15th, not on July 15th.
Okay.
So I wanted to provide that latitude, and then when the chair will allow, I'll respond to Mr. Green.
That was one of the things that the clerk had brought to my attention. So that we're clear, it's the week of July 15th. Monsieur Villemur, appel de règlement? Oui, okay. Allez.
Point d'ordre plutôt, parce que
a point of order, yes. The French and English versions are different. The French version is more similar to what Mr. Green stated. I think it's perhaps an alignment between the different versions. Perhaps the clerk can make corrections.
Mr. Fisher, are you looking to have the motion in front of you then, or is that what you'd like? Okay. Okay, just hang on a sec, okay? Here we go.
Thank you.
Okay, I am going to suspend for a couple of minutes so that the clerk can get the motion to members of the committee. So just a couple of things that I would note that need to be clarified within the motion. Somebody needs to put further to the motion that was passed that needs to be added to this so that we are clear on the direction of the committee. And the other thing is the week of July 15th, I'm going to need a year because we all know that words matter. 2024 is the year we're in, and if we leave it open-ended, then it is open to interpretation. So I want to make sure that that's clarified. Mr. Green, when we left, you still had the floor, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
Mr. Chair. I want to make one note just as it relates to the spirit of the motion that was originally passed. You just stated that we need to add an amendment further to the motion that was passed. If you recall, I believe the motion that was passed suggested that the witnesses meet together. And so, like, for me, whether they're together, this says that as well? 1 hour together. Okay, good. So I will then move the following, that the words further to the motion that has passed been added, and that we delete summons and include invite, and that the year 2024 be added to the week of July 15th.
Okay, so Mr. Green is moving an amendment. I don't think I need to stop the meeting in order for that to be understood. And I appreciate you clarifying that, Mr. Green. Do you have any other comments on that, on your amendment? So we're on the amendment. I need a new list. I've got Ms. Damoff on the amendment. Go ahead, Ms. Damoff.
Thanks, Chair. Just a request, if the clerk is going to circulate emails to us, if we could get the full email chain, because we only see part of it. So if there is an email exchange between, that's being sent to us, I don't actually remember seeing those before, but if they are going to be sent, if we could just get the full email exchange as opposed to parts of it would be
So is that on your
helpful.
iPhone, just so that I'm clear? You're referring to what you see on your iPhone?
I've seen it on my computer too. So it shows part of it, but
Okay.
we don't see if there's a response, or we don't see, like, just if we can,
Yeah.
if we can just make sure we see everything.
Okay.
Chair, that's all.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Thank you.
So we're on the amendment here. Mr. Fisher on the amendment, go ahead, please.
Yeah, just further to what Pam said and towards the clerk through you, Mr. Chair. I did see some of that stuff too, but I didn't see the invite. I saw the responses. So I'm interested in when those invites were sent. And this speaks to Mr. Green's amendment to amend the motion to say invite, because it was really a week ago that we passed that motion. And I didn't see anything from what the clerk said that indicated that they were not willing or somewhat enthusiastic to come to committee. So I think that summons is a strong word, and I think it's probably a word that we may have to use someday. But I'd say in this situation, I agree with Mr. Green. But I'd be interested in when the invites were sent, what dates were offered, when did they respond? Was it immediate? Did the witnesses ever refuse or hesitate to appear? And what other dates have been offered since their response?
So I think I tried to clarify that at the beginning of the meeting. I actually turned to the clerk and asked if I had missed anything, and if she had needed to fill in any of the gaps. So I mean, if you want the entire list of the invite and the correspondence back and forth, and I know the clerk. Do you want an email on that? Then,
Well,
or?
just to see the
Okay.
what
If
was
the
sent,
clerk is
what-
prepared to answer the question, she can go ahead. Go ahead, Madam Clerk, if
Okay.
you want. Yep.
Question is?
When
it was sent?
When the initial email was sent, when the responses came back, when the follow-up emails were sent.
Yep.
There,
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be read out now if you don't want to read it.
Okay. Well, I have no issue saying it. I touched base by phone in order to get the email address as soon as the motion was adopted, so within a few hours of the meeting being over. So that was July 11. And the two witnesses talked to me over the phone.
June 11th, just to be clear.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I said
that's okay,
July.
yeah.
And then they gave me the email address, and I proceeded to send the invitation right away on the same day. So that was June 11. And then I did talk with some, and some came with the answer by email faster. And on this Friday, I sent a renewed invitation offering other dates. But I can prepare all that and send a distribution. Sure.
I'll support that amendment that
Yeah,
Mr.
there was
Green.
also, there was some back and forth with legal counsel as well, representing the two witnesses as well. So we can include that in all of an email, if you like, okay? Okay, so on the amendment, I don't have any other discussion. Okay, on the amendment, do we have consensus on the amendment? No. We do not? Okay. So we will, we don't have consensus, we'll go to a vote on the amendment. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
So on the amendment from Mr. Green, everybody heard the term of the amendment? Good.
Should be clear.
Mr. Baines?
Yes.
Ms. Damoff?
Yes.
Mr. Fisher? Yes. Mr. Hauswater?
Yes.
Ms. Khalid? Yes. Mr. Barrett? Mr. Brock?
No.
Mr. Cooper? No. Monsieur Villemur?
Oui.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Yeas 7 pour 7, nays 3 contre 3.
Okay, so the amendment does carry, so we are on the main motion as amended. I had a list going on the main motion. Mr. Fisher, I think you were on the top of that. You want to cede your time? Okay. Anybody else? I had Ms. Damoff, and then I had Mr. Villemur. Are we good? Main motion as amended? Okay. So we are voting, well, we're not voting. Do we have consensus on the motion as amended? Yes. We do? No. We're going to call the vote. Go ahead, Madam Clerk, on the vote.
Mr. Baines?
Yes.
Ms. Damoff?
Yes.
Mr. Fisher?
Wait.
Mr. Hauswater? Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett? Yes. Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Monsieur Villemur?
Oui.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Madam Clerk?
10 yeas, oui, 10.
Okay, so that's unanimous. Motion passes as amended. For the sake, just let me, for the sake of the committee, week of July 15th, I'm going to shoot for July 16th on the Tuesday, just so that everybody's clear. Okay, those are the date. That's the date that I'm going to propose to the witnesses. Okay, so and it falls falls within the scope of the motion, and I'll do it in the morning as well. Okay. Just to be clear, that's the offer that's going to go out. Mr. Green, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move a motion
Go ahead.
that notwithstanding the week of July 16th, as per the usual practice of the House of Commons, standing committees, that the Standing Committee for Ethics shall not meet during Parliament's summer recess unless the requirements of the 106.4 of the standing orders are met.
You said the week of July 16th. The 15th is the Monday. So, right? You
It
meant
doesn't even have to be in the motion. I'm just
Okay.
saying that
Okay. All right.
I'm accepting that week because of the work we just did.
Okay. We're in committee business. The motion is in order. Debate. Mr. Green, anything to say?
I think the motion is self-explanatory.
Okay.